0 clock to 0:45. A shadow glides silently over a sun-drenched prehistoric coastline. Waves crash gently against the shore. Suddenly, the shadow materializes a massive winged creature with a long, pointed crest, diving with breathtaking speed. It snatches a fish from the water in a flash of spray, its leathery wings beating powerfully as it climbs back into the sky. Before birds learned to sing, before the first plane ever took to the air, the sky belonged to something else entirely. They were the original pioneers of flight. A dynasty of aerial predators that ruled the heavens for over 150 million years. Welcome, fellow time travelers, to a world where giants soared on leathery wings. 0:45 to 1:15, welcome back to the Time Traveler Zoo. I'm your guide, and today, we're leaving the ground behind. Our chronosphere is calibrated for the Mesozoic era, a time when the skies were not empty, but filled with the silhouettes of the magnificent pterosaurs. Forget everything you think you know about flying dinosaurs. Because today, we're meeting the true, undisputed rulers of the primeval sky. Prepare for takeoff. 1:15 to 3 o'clock. So, what exactly is a pterosaur? Let's meet some of the family's most famous members. First up, the iconic Pteranodon, with that incredible crest and a wingspan of up to 23 feet. 2. This was the poster child of the late Cretaceous skies, soaring over the western interior seaway like a prehistoric albatross. It was a master glider, using its long, toothless beak to expertly snatch fish from the surface. Then you have the smaller, but no less fascinating, Dimorphodon from the early Jurassic. Look at this guy. Snay means two-formed tooth because it had long, sharp fangs at the front of its jaw and smaller, flatter teeth further back. Unlike Pteranodon, it was likely an agile flapper, darting through forests to catch insects and small vertebrates. And of course, we can't forget the titan, Quetzalcoatlus. We'll get to this behemoth later, but imagine an animal with a wingspan the size of a small aeroplane. It's mind-blowing. Each species was uniquely adapted to its environment, with different wing shapes, beak types, and lifestyles. It really makes you wonder. If you had to choose one to ride into a fantasy battle, which pterosaur would you pick? The majestic Pteranodon, the nimble Dimorphodon, or the colossal Quetzalcoatlus? Let me know your choice in the comments below. 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock now for one of the most incredible stories in evolution. The miracle of powered flight. Nature has solved this complex problem at least 3 separate times in vertebrates, with pterosaurs, birds, and bats. And what's fascinating is that they all found different solutions. Let's break it down. Look at a pterosaur's wing. The main surface, called the patagium, was a membrane of skin and muscles stretched between its body and a dramatically elongated fourth finger. That's right, just one long finger supported the entire wing. Now, compare that to a bird. A bird's wing is supported by a fused hand structure, with its flight surface made of intricate, interlocking feathers. It's a completely different engineering approach. And then we have bats. Their wing membrane is stretched across 4 elongated fingers and their thumb is left free for climbing. 3 groups, 3 different blueprints for taking to the sky. How did pterosaurs manage it? They had a secret weapon. Incredibly light, hollow bones, much like birds. But they took it a step further. We now believe they had a system of air sacs connected to their lungs that not only made them lighter, but also created a super-efficient one-way breathing system. This allowed them to get the enormous amount of oxygen needed to power their massive flight muscles. It was biological genius. 5 o'clock to 6:30. Okay, it's time to bust a major myth. I'm going to say this loud and clear for everyone in the back. Pterosaurs are not dinosaurs. I repeat, not dinosaurs. They are a related, but distinct, group of archosaurs. Think of them as cousins. Dinosaurs are defined by a specific hip structure that gave them an upright, pillar-like stance. Pterosaurs had a different arrangement, a sort of semi-sprawling posture when on the ground. Hollywood, bless its heart, often gets this wrong, lumping them all together. And that's not the only thing they get wrong. How many times have you seen a movie pterosaur flapping its wings constantly like a sparrow? In reality, many of the larger species like Pteranodon were probably expert gliders, ride in thermal updrafts for hours with minimal effort, much like a modern condor or albatross. Constant flapping would have been far too exhausting. Let's play a little game. I'm about to show you a clip from a famous movie. Watch closely and tell me in the comments what scientific mistake you can spot. Ready, go! This is actually a great way to test your knowledge after watching our videos. 6:30 to 8:30. Alright, we've teased it long enough. Let's talk about the undisputed king of the Cretaceous skies. Quetzalcoatlus northropi. Named after the Aztec feathered serpent god, this creature was simply immense. We're talking a wingspan of 33 to 36 feet. When it stood on the ground, it was as tall as a modern giraffe. Let that sink in. An animal that could fly was as tall as a giraffe. For decades, paleontologists were stumped. How could something so enormous possibly get off the ground? The old idea of it running to take off just didn't work with its anatomy. The current leading theory is incredible. It used a quadrupedal launch. It would crouch down on all fours, using its folded wings as front limbs and then powerfully vault itself into the air like a pole vaulter. It was an explosion of power to get airborne. Once in the air, it likely soared majestically over the inland plains of late Cretaceous North America. But what did it eat? Its long, toothless beak wasn't suited for catching fish at sea like Pteranodon. Instead, it's now believed Quetzalcoatlus was a terrestrial stalker. Imagine this giant striding across the landscape, using its sharp beak like a pair of giant chopsticks to pluck up small dinosaurs, lizards, and any other creature unlucky enough to be in its path. It wasn't just a ruler of the sky. It was a terrifying predator on the ground, too. 8:30 to 9:30, the reign of the pterosaurs came to a dramatic end, 66 million years ago, alongside their Nanavian dinosaur cousins. But Zoo's story of flight was far from over. Their extinction left a vacancy in the sky, an ecological niche that was quickly filled by the survivors of the Great Extinction, the birds. And later, bats would conquer the night skies. Nature's repeated invention of flight shows just how powerful this evolutionary advantage is. It opens up new food sources, provides an escape from ground-based predators, and allows for travel across vast distances. The pterosaurs were the first vertebrates to master this, too, writing the blueprint for aerial dominance. Their legacy isn't just in fossils. It's in every bird that soars on the wind and every bat that flits through the dusk. They proved that the sky was a realm waiting to be conquered. So here is a final question for you. If you could have the flight ability of any animal, past or present, which would you choose? 9:30 to 10 o'clock. Thank you for joining us on this high-flying adventure into the age of pterosaurs. It's truly humbling to look back at these magnificent creatures. If you enjoyed our trip, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the Time Traveler Zoo, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next journey. And speaking of which, next time, we're leaving the skies and diving deep into the oceans of the past. A place where jaws ruled and giants lurked in the abyss. You won't want to miss it. Until then, stay curious,